Okay, I'm doing a video to show you how to sharpen the Greenworks Pro chainsaws out in the field. You could do this in the back of your truck or wherever you are. If you hit a rock or something or hit the ground, you might have to do this while you're cutting wood if you don't have extra chains. But see how these are staggered here? These are staggered, and then these two teeth here are on the same side. I use that as my guide to tell me when I've been around the whole chain. And for this chainsaw, it calls for a 5/32 file, but you can use a 4.5 millimeter. It's so close that it's basically the same thing. It's 11/64. So if you can find a 5/32, that's great. But I have a 4.5, and I think it cuts a little more aggressive with a 4.5 because it cuts it slightly bigger. The cuts like just tiny. It's probably not even noticeable, but it definitely cuts better than the way it came factory. And I'm using this 4.5, so there's nothing wrong with the 4.5. But I'll start here, right behind these two. I'll start here, and you want to keep this 30-degree line here. See, there's a 30-degree line there. You want to keep it so that it's right in line with the bar, and you want to keep it like that for the whole cut. So if you can, try to keep it nice and straight. Try to keep it at that 30. If you go off by a few degrees, it doesn't really matter. And you want to cut up like that. And normally it takes about 3 or 4 swipes, and you got to put some backwards pressure. I already sharpened this, so I'm not going to actually cut it, but you want to pull back while you're pushing it forward. You can use 2 hands. And then, so I'd go to the next one, right here. And I'll go all the way around until I see those two teeth. And then you switch to this side. And you go all the way around, and then you cut these two last. So you do 3 or 4 swipes up this way. Now, if you have a big chip in the tooth, you might have to do 5 cuts or 6. If you hit something really, really hard, big stone or something, it all depends. But you don't really want to do. You want to do as little as possible to get rid of the whatever kind of mark you got. To get rid of the burr. So if you have to do 5 cuts on one tooth, it's good to do 5 cuts on all the teeth. But you don't have to. It's just that you'll end up with your at the end of the chain's life, it might be down to here, and the rest might be halfway. If you're not doing even amounts of swipes on these, you want to keep it even. So I usually do 3 or 4. That's usually good enough to get rid of whatever marks I end up with on my teeth. So anyways, that's how you sharpen it. You just go all the way around. Sometimes I use a Sharpie too. Like I'll mark one of these teeth. Then you don't have to look for the 2 teeth on the same side. A Sharpie's probably the better way to do it, because sometimes when you've done enough chains, it becomes invisible to see those 2 teeth on the same side. But they're there. So anyways, that's just a quick how to sharpen in the field. Okay, to grease the sprocket on the end here, there's a sprocket right here that the chain spins on. There's a grease hole right here, this little grease hole. You want to get a chainsaw bar greaser, do 1 or 2 pumps into that little tiny hole, and then flip it over. And you can see that it looks like some came out this side, so there's one on this side, but give this side a pump just to get it, spin it. And I usually do this. I don't do this like every time I go cutting, but this is a good idea to do this, say, every 4 truckloads, 4 cords of wood, or maybe even 3. Give these a grease. So that's how you grease the sprocket on the Greenworks chainsaw. The hole that's closest to the center pin here. Now to tighten the chain on the Greenworks, at least on this model, you got this screw here that can loosen the chain. Now, it won't loosen right now, like I'm loosening this, but it won't actually get any looser till I take the pressure off these two. So you got to loosen these two. And this is the wrench that comes with the Greenworks chainsaw. So that's loose now. So this will get, see, that's pretty loose. To tighten it, you turn it clockwise. And you don't want it so it can pop out like that and basically derail. And when it heats up, it'll even come out further than that. So you definitely want it tighter than that. I would say you want it even tighter. Let's see. I'd say about like that. So when you pull it out, I'm not pulling super hard, but you want it so it snaps back. You just don't want it to derail when it heats up. That's a pretty good spot to start, and you can check it after you do a few cuts. Now to take this off, you can take these two bolts right, like loosen this off counterclockwise as much as you can before you loosen the two bolts. And then take these two bolts right out, but they don't actually come out. They stick to this, which is good. They stick to this green cover here, so you won't lose them if you're out in the field. These nuts don't come out right off. They'll attach from the chainsaw, but they stay on the cover, and then you pull the cover off. And with the chain loose, it'll slip off the front sprocket. You pull it off. I guess I could do that right now. So I'm going to loosen this as much as I can. Okay, so that's as much as I can. It hit kind of the end point on the adjustment. I'll take these right off. So see, this is completely undone. Okay. So they stick to the cover. Oh yeah, here's another thing too. The oiler, this is the oiler hole. If it plugs up with this kind of gunk here, you want to clean that out every once in a while, so oil can get into the groove on the bar. But now that this is off, you just pull this back. You can slide this back in underneath the sprocket here, and then this would come off at the front. You don't do it at the front. I can't really do it on camera here, but you'd be able to get this off the sprocket on the front, or maybe I could come over this way and do it this way. So I got it off this way. Now you could change your chain or whatever. So put this back under, put that back on, and so it's nice that these stay on here. Lots of chainsaws. Okay, so when you do tighten the chain too, it's good to have upwards pressure on it. See how it tilts a little bit? You want this pushing up, if possible, while you give this a few turns. Okay, so it's pulling in. I'll make sure that it's on the sprocket properly. Looks like it is. I'm going to tighten these up just a little bit so it's sitting level. Okay, so it's too loose right now. Give it okay. I'd probably try that and do a few cuts and then see if it needs to get tighter. But that's pretty good for right now. So crank these on tight. And that's how you change your chain or tighten the chain. So I hope this video helps somebody that wants to go out and cut some wood. Thanks for watching.